Okay guys, in this video we're going to be talking about why and what we're actually going to be buying in real estate. So, a few questions for you. Have you ever seen someone get poorer by owning real estate? It happens. Have you ever seen someone not be able to afford their house mortgage payments because the house was too expensive? That happens. Last question. Have you ever wondered how people get rich from real estate by owning multiple properties? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be answering here, because it's actually very important that we buy the right thing so that we can actually generate, or at least not cost ourselves money in the long run. Your first building should actually be a multi-family real estate purchase. Now, here's how the laws work in the United States. Between 1 to 4 units, they're recognized as about the same thing. But if you buy 1 unit, then that's the property that you live in, and that is going to probably cost you money. Now, we all know the famous book, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, talking about assets versus liabilities. Well, for most people, if they buy a single family 1 unit property and live in that property, for most people, that actually becomes a liability, especially with housing prices today, because of all of the expenses that come with owning a house. You have to take care of the lawn, you have to take care of the roof. Most people want to move within 10 to 15 years, which means that the appreciation hasn't been enough to offset all of those costs. They have to pay property taxes, and of course the mortgage payments that come out of your salary. Most people actually don't make money from their single family houses. But for you, you're going to be different, and I'm going to explain why. Because you're not going to buy 1 unit, you're actually going to buy between 2 to 4 units. A 2-unit property is called a duplex, 3-unit property is called a triplex, and a 4-unit property is called a fourplex or a quadrupleplex, but we'll call it fourplex in this video. So you're actually going for a multifamily property, duplex, triplex, or fourplex between 2 to 4 units. In the US, you can qualify for up to 4 units with the same loan that it takes to buy 1 family unit for first-time home buyers. That's good news, which means that if you are getting a cheaper rate and more favorable acknowledgements for your loan, then you might as well use that to get the most and best investment possible. Most people use that to buy the biggest house that they can. Well, that would be a mistake, because if they make the biggest loan that they can and they're using it for a single family house, then that comes out of their salary. Here's where the kicker comes in. If you use that loan to buy a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, then you can live in one of the units and then use the other 1, 2, or 3 units to have offset or even profit from that property. Let's run the numbers. So let's say your mortgage payment in total is $3,000. That sounds expensive, but let's say you bought a fourplex, which means that there are 3 other units of the 4, because you're going to live in 1 and you have 3 others to rent out. And your mortgage payment is $4,000. It's $3,000, right? Now, if you can rent each of these for $1,200, so this one is $1,200, this one is $1,200, and this one is $1,200. Altogether, that's $3,600. And your mortgage payment is only $3,000, which means that at the end of every month, you're actually profiting from that property by $600. That works out much better as your first home, because now your salary, you get to keep it, you get to live for free while getting appreciation in the property. You can see how this is very beneficial. The math works out much better. So instead of buying a single family house for your first property, it's much better for us to look for a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. Then, here's what I teach to actually supersize this. Your first 4 properties should actually be multifamily properties, because the law allows you to switch every year or 2 years into a new property to qualify again for the same first time home buyer's loan. Which means that if you are having a new job, or you get married, or you have to move more than 90 miles away to a new state or a new county, that means that you can again get that new loan and qualify for another duplex, triplex, or fourplex. And if you do that 4 times, now at the end of that time period, whether that takes you 5 years to do or 10 years to do, now you have a portfolio of 4 properties that all are paying you. They're all going up in value. And now you have a real estate portfolio that all you had to do was find the down payment, and the rest took care of itself and is paying for itself for the next year, decade, for the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, is something that you can pass on to your children. That's the wonderful thing about real estate. But if you don't know where and what you're going to buy, then you're going to run into problems. Now that we know why we're looking for multifamily, a duplex, triplex, or a fourplex, because at minimum, we want to be able to live for free. But even better, if we could profit even just a little bit, $500 or $1,000 from that property every month, then one of the biggest expenses that we have, which is our living costs, are free. Now that's a key step in building wealth, because then our salary and everything else becomes so much cheaper. And you now have a beginning real estate portfolio. Make this your first purchase, and then thank me again in 2 decades or 3 decades. And then now, in the next video, we can talk about where we actually want to buy this multifamily property so that we can have the maximum returns possible. So let's get into the next video.